I'm going to show you step by step the exact process of going to a Las Vegas nightclub. First things first, of course, you have to gain entry. There's three main ways. One is you go through a promoter. I've done a bunch of videos about Las Vegas club promoters. I have them listed below in the description, and there are a few things you have to keep in mind, like what's your ratio, how many guys, how many girls, what time do you have to get there. Typically, you do have to get there early. You also have to be in touch with a Las Vegas club promoter. They're super easy to find. Again, I have videos listed below in the description, but the first option is go through a club promoter and get on the guest list. Second is buy a ticket. Very, very standard. If you go online, you can buy a ticket. Typically, pre-sale, as you can imagine, is going to be cheaper than if you're buying it like the day of or right before the nightclub. That is your second option. And then the third option, which is by far the most expensive, is getting bottle service. The main concept of bottle service, you have a table at the nightclub, your own private section with you and your friends, whoever you want to be with. I will say bottle service is literally thousands of dollars. If you're on a budget, going through a promoter is definitely the best way to go because it's completely free. Then when it comes to the price of a ticket, it's tough to say. On some nights, it's only about 30 or 40 bucks. Other nights, like say it's a very big night or holiday weekend or whatever, you're looking at sometimes about $100 plus. And then lastly, bottle service is always going to be very expensive. One thing I will say as a side note, this is probably not surprising, but I like to be very transparent on my videos. Girls have a way easier time getting into places than guys. If you're going through a promoter, for example, they may say, hey, all guys and girls are free. They also might say, look, only girls free. Or they will say guys can get in for free, but only if they have an even ratio. So 1-to-1, 2 girls, 2 guys, 3 girls, 3 guys, etc., etc. In addition, if you're planning on buying a ticket, typically it is cheaper for girls as well. Step number 2, the dress code. Now I will say, just like what I said before, the dress code is a lot stricter for guys than for girls. The biggest thing I'd say, I know this is kind of vague, is look presentable. Like for tonight, as you can see, I'm wearing a black V-neck, then I'm wearing black pants and brown dress shoes. I feel like black dress shoes would match better with this outfit, but I left them in LA. But anyway, when it comes to the dress code, my best advice right away is always overdress than underdress. If you're not sure if something's gonna work or not, just make sure you're more overdressed. Because the last thing you wanna do, and this does happen a lot, you get to the front of the line with all your friends, you're a bit underdressed, and the guy says, sorry man, can't do it with those shoes. And the tricky part, and this was kind of annoying, I will say about Vegas, is it's up to the bouncer's discretion. Meaning for some bouncers, they may be okay with your outfit, other ones won't be. When it comes to the guys, I suggest pretend like you're going to a family party or an interview. So you want to look nice and presentable. You don't have to be in a full suit and everything. As you can see with my outfit, obviously I'm not wearing a full suit, but you do have to look presentable. I've also noticed, especially for the guys, shoes are a big thing. So make sure you absolutely have dress shoes. Don't have sneakers, don't have some sloppy pair of shoes. Next for the girls, I find a nice dress works well. Like I said, they're way more strict about the dress code when it comes to guys than girls. Also, I like to be honest, I don't know anything about girls' fashion, but I will say the biggest thing, like I said, look nice, look very presentable, pretend like you're going to a nice family party or an interview. But I definitely will say this, when it comes to dressing like you're going to a family party or an interview, hey, you're in Vegas, you want to look sexy, so don't be afraid to spice it up a bit if you want to, but make sure you look nice and presentable. Step number 3, get out of your hotel room. You should only be in your hotel room here in Vegas to sleep and get ready. That's it. Once you know you have entry and you can definitely get in and you're dressed up, get out. Not only can you drink on the strip, a lot of people know that, but you can also drink in line and pregame for the nightclub as you're waiting in line to get in. So I'm actually heading to Marquee tonight. I'm walking there right now. It's a Wednesday night. They're having their event low-key in the library. It's an amazing event for any of my EDM people out there. It's almost like a mini boiler room set. It's amazing. Another huge pro tip is get there early, especially if you're going through a promoter and you're on the guest list. If you can get in for free from 10 p.m. till midnight, that means everybody else can. And I've sometimes seen the line go down and around the block outside of venues at 10 or 10:30 p.m., which is considered by Vegas standards pretty early. So keep that in mind. Step number 4, get in the right line. As you can see behind me, there are different lines for guest list, general admission, and bottle service. Like I said earlier, you can drink in line, and when you get to the front and you show your ID, there typically will be a trash barrel here, as you can see, that you can throw out your drink right before you go inside. Keep keep in mind they are going to search you, and if you're on the guest list, they'll give you a slip like I just showed you once you tell them the promoter you're associated with, and of course, how many people you have in your party. That was such a great night, and now I want to give you 5 huge pro tips when it comes to being in Las Vegas nightclubs, because as you can imagine, it was very easy to film before the nightclub and of course after, but a bit difficult to film during it. So here are huge 5 pro tips when it comes to being in a Las Vegas nightclub. Number 1 is the alcohol. Now, of course, you're in Vegas, you want to have a crazy time. Of course, be as responsible as possible. If you're too drunk, not only will you be kicked out of the club, but you might not even be let in the club, and you don't want to be that guy or that girl. Now, when it comes to the prices of alcohol, I'm gonna say you're looking at drinks being minimum $12 and higher. Of course, as the years progress, this is gonna probably increase, so keep that in mind. Drinks in nightclubs are very expensive, and beers are almost always gonna be cheaper than liquor. There's been some times I've seen beer being 12 bucks, but then a shot of liquor, and I'm talking a cheap, shot of vodka, for example, is $16. Liquor is definitely going to be more expensive than beer. And in addition, when it comes to beer, and this is a great pro tip, for most Vegas nightclubs, every beer is the exact same price. I remember I was in Zouk nightclub, for example, and a Bud Light was $14, and a Space Dust was also $14. And in case you didn't know, Space Dust is twice as strong as Bud Light. So for the same price, you're gonna get double the alcohol and essentially double the buzz if you get a Space Dust versus a Bud Light. This is why, even though for me, I'm way more of a liquor over beer type guy, beer is just way cheaper and a way better deal, especially if you pick the right beer at nightclubs. Number 2 is set times. When it comes to the main DJ going on, they're gonna start anywhere, and it kind of depends night to night. There's not an exact set time typically, but I'd say anywhere between 12:30 and 1:30. Typically, I'd say on average about 1. I'd say 1 a.m. is the average time the headliner will go on. And before that, they do have DJs. It's not going to be completely silent. They're not going to be playing music just out on the speakers. There will be DJs opening up for the headliner, but keep in mind, you want to pace yourself. If, let's say, you get to the nightclub at 11 p.m., for example, and immediately start ripping shots or having beers, we still have 2 hours until the headliner goes on. So keep in mind, if you do want to see the headliner show and, of course, enjoy it as well, and I might as well say remember it too, make sure you pace yourself because it's definitely a marathon, not a sprint. Number 3 is different rooms. This is really cool for a lot of nightclubs. It does depend nightclub to nightclub, but for some nightclubs, they have different rooms with different DJs and typically different genres of music as well. Take Omnia, for example. When it comes to Omnia, they have the main room, which is typically EDM. That's where the headliners perform. But then they have the heart of Omnia. There was one night I was there, they had hip hop in the heart of Omnia, EDM in the main room, and then lastly they have the terrace, which kind of overlooks the strip a bit. It's like a really beautiful view, and that is different music as well. And this is awesome because let's say you're going with a group of people, and some of them are into EDM, some of them are not. Some of them are into hip hop, some of them are not. Well, let's say you go to the main room in Omnia, again using that as an example, and you're like, you know what? I mean, this EDM stuff is okay, but it's just not my exact thing I want to hear. Some of your friends can go to the heart of Omnia and still have a great time, and it's all located inside the same building. You don't have to pay more. You don't have to get like another ticket or anything. Once you get into the nightclub area in general, you have the option to go to any room you want. Number 4, night swims. Now these, I gotta be honest, are my favorite Vegas event, period. As it sounds, pretty self-explanatory. A night swim is when a nightclub has an event that also involves the pool, but it's at night. It's the best combination of a pool party / day club and a nightclub. When it comes to a night swim, things are a little different. The biggest one you need to be aware of, really, is the dress code. For a night swim, you can either dress up like you're going to the club, or you can dress up in your swim clothes because you're going to be going in the pool. So the dress code when it comes to the night swims are a lot more relaxed typically. Of course, you don't want to look like a slob, I will say that, but I've gone to night swims wearing just like a typical bathing suit, sandals, and just a nice shirt. That's it. And last, but definitely not least, especially as a musician and a DJ, wear earplugs. I know when I say this, a lot of times they're like, dude, I'm fine, or whatever. Music is getting consistently louder, and I'm surprised not a lot of people know this, that when it comes to your eardrums, once they get damaged to a certain point, That's it. There's no repairing them. Unless your ears get damaged past a certain point where you can't hear past that, you will never be able to hear those frequencies ever again. Like I said, your ears and your eardrums don't heal. Once they're damaged to a certain point, they never heal again. That's why for me, as you can see on my keychain here, I always have this, which if I open it up, just to show you, boom, I have earplugs right here. And I also like how they have this little string, so I can do this, put them in my ear, that way I don't lose them, because as you can imagine, very easy to lose these earplugs sometimes, but I always have them on my keychain. That way if I'm going out with friends, like say I'm at a bar, obviously if I'm at a Vegas nightclub, and like say the music is way louder than I expected, or let's say I'm in an environment that the music is way louder than I expected, not just Vegas nightclubs, but anywhere, I have these ready to go. You can easily pick up some earplugs at CVS or Walgreens on the strip for like a few bucks. Sometimes the bouncers will give them out for free. It does depend. I wouldn't bank on that, but there have been some times. I remember I was in Hakkasan, for example. I didn't have my keys with me, so I remember I said to the bouncer, like, hey, I actually don't have earplugs on me. Do you have any? He goes, yeah, let me just go to the back real quick. Went to the back, came back, gave me earplugs for free. I was good to go.